So I'm about to talk about something that's not going to be talked about anywhere, especially not on establishment corporate media. CNN isn't going to pick this up. MSNBC isn't going to pick this up. Fox definitely isn't going to pick this up. And a lot of the prominent, um, even considerably decent outlets, whether it be print outlets or whatever the case, aren't going to talk about this either. And you'll see why in just a second. So what I have in front of me is an article from TRT World, and it's titled, U.S. admits F-35 failed to replace F-16 as planned, needs new fighter jet. Allow me to continue. United States Air Force announced the need for a new multi-use fighter jet to replace its aging F-16 fleet, while stressing that it would not feature the same high price tag and technological prowess of the F-35. The announcement made by Air Force Chief of Staff General Charles Brown came as a surprise to defense analysts, given that the F-35 was pegged as the modern fifth-generation aircraft that would replace the F-16. Instead, Air Force Chief Brown suggested they would develop a fifth-generation minus fighter jet. Nearly 20 years ago, the USAF set out to develop a replacement to the F-16 successor, but the program only continued to grow prohibitively expensive as more cutting-edge technology was poured into it. When it grew too expensive, other nations were brought in as partners to offset the runaway cost. In an ironic twist, the F-35 has become the kind of dilemma it was initially supposed to resolve. Now a new fighter jet is needed to meet the needs of the U.S. Air Force. Running the F-35 for 66 years is expected to cost $1.1 trillion. On top of its already hefty development cost of $397.8 billion, the F-35 costs slightly less than $100 million per plane. Now, this says slightly less. I've seen slightly more. The fact of the matter is it costs around $100 million per plane. But it says here, the cost is the least of its concerns. Now, allow me to continue and read to you what the Chief of Staff of the Air Force had to say about this particular plane. Air Force Chief Charles Brown Jr. described the situation as such. You don't drive your Ferrari to work every day, bro. You only drive it on Sundays. This is our high-end fighter. We want to make sure we don't use it all for the low-end fight. That's what he said. So he wants to limit how often they use the F-35 and develop a less advanced plane. Now let's get into this. Well, actually, before I get into this, let me read to you one of the reasons why they're developing these new planes and they're wasting all this fucking money. Look, Russia is already fielding its considerably cheaper Sukhoi 57 fifth generation fighter jet, they say. While it does not boast the technological prowess of the F-35, there's considerable doubt that the F-35 could stand up to the Su-57 in a one-on-one dogfight. This is mainly given the F-35 excels in fighting from a distance. China is also fielding its twin-seater J-20 fighter jet, which promises considerable offensive capabilities. In essence, the F-35 was designed to have ultimate technological superiority. But doing too much means compromises in design. So what I just read to you was one of the reasons why they're on this power trip. Other countries have fighter jets that may or may not be better than ours. So fuck, we got to be the best. We got to have the most destructive war machines. So shit, I mean, we got to put all the money there. We got to buy these fighter jets and waste all this money on endless war. Because, I mean, we have to, right? We need it. I just read to you, they said that they need it. And you might say, well, wait a minute. Why were they even making the F-35s? We have the F-16s. Were they broken? Did they not fly? Did they not kill people sufficiently enough? What's wrong with the F-16s? No. They were too old. They were too old. By the year 2040, I believe that they said, the F-16s will be over 60 years old. Out of date. It's out of date, man. We got to get new machines of death from the sky that rain down bombs and kill people. That's what we got to do. We need it. They said that they needed it. That's what they said. You know? Endless amounts of funds, billions of dollars. One plane cost over $100 million. I just read to you. The media doesn't bat an eyelash. The politicians don't bat an eyelash. Nobody gives a fuck. Want to know why? Because this is par for the course in Washington. Endless war, battleships, fighter jets, all of this money that we give to the military. It's just par for the course. We have to do it. I mean, it's looked at as if, why would we not do it? We got to protect the country, right? We have to. But when it comes to programs like universal health care, guaranteeing everybody health care, how are we going to pay for it? How are we going to find the money to give everybody a basic necessity? Something that every other developed country has somehow figured out. How are we going to do that? How are we going to provide free higher education to our college students that are saddled and crippled with student debt? How are we going to do it, man? We got to get the new fighter jet. We can't do it. How are we going to provide stimulus to our people that are struggling right now in the pandemic, that are lining up in food lines and people are losing their homes? The list goes on, you name it. How are we going to do it? How? When it comes to cutting stimulus for you, it's, okay, should we give them 200? No, not 200. They want to give you 200, I bet. But should we give them 2,000? No. That's way too high. How about 1,400? How about 1,400? Matter of fact, how about 600? You see what I mean? When it comes to you and me and the rest of us, you get crumbs. And it's always a debate. How much do the people deserve? Is it this much? Is that much? Is this too much? We have to means test the checks. People that make over 50K or 75K can't receive it. It can't be universal. Everybody can't get it. But when it comes to, buying planes to bomb Baghdad, fuck it, man. We got the money for it. Yeah, here you go. Take it. And the manufacturer of these planes is Lockheed Martin, in case you were unaware. And Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Boeing, Honeywell, Halliburton, all these different defense contractors, these defense industries, they're pouring endless amounts of funds into your elected politicians' pockets. And they're taking this money and they turn around and they allow things like this to happen. Because they're funded by this stuff. They take money from that's how they get elected. It's corruption at its finest. It's dishonesty at its finest. This is what our politics is. This is what our government is. Fund the war machine. What I want to do in the last half of this video is talk about our discretionary spending. Now, for those of you that are unaware of what discretionary spending is, it's the part of the U.S. federal budget that Congress appropriates each year. Okay, for the fiscal year 2021, for example, President Donald Trump requested $1.4 trillion, right? Now, the Constitution gave Congress the authority to raise and spend money for the federal government. The budget process traditionally begins with the president's budget, okay? Now, what I have in front of me is something on the balance that I thought was really awesome. And it has this is Donald Trump's fiscal year 2021 discretionary budget request, okay? Now, we know he is not in office right now, but just to give you an idea of where these people's thoughts and desires lie, okay? So, the Department of Defense, the budget for the Department of Defense for the year 2021 requested by Donald Trump, $636.4 billion. Billion with the B for the Department of Defense. For comparison, the Human Health Services is also in the discretionary budget. Now, things like healthcare and Social Security, that's in the mandatory budget. That's an entirely different discussion. But the Human Health Services is in the discretionary budget. Want to know what their funds are? $96.4 billion. 636 billion, 96.4. Now, I'm not that good at math, but that's a really big difference, isn't it? Let's take a look at education. $66.6 billion. Even less than the health services. Wow. Homeland Security, 49.7. Energy Department, 35.4. You get the picture. The Department of Defense $636.4 billion. Fund the war machine. Fund the war machine. But when it comes to you and me, always remember this, when it comes to you and me, how are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for universal health care, something that every other developed country has figured out? How are we going to give people free higher education, something that they deserve, honestly? How? And this is where your tax money is going. Your tax money is going to buy these fighter jets, to buy these battleships, to fulfill the destiny of American imperialism. That's where your tax money is going. Describe to me how it would feel if you knew your tax money was going to a place that would secure healthcare for everybody, that would give your kids and everybody else's kids a chance to go to college and get educated and not be saddled with student loan debt as a result of it. How would you feel? You probably feel a lot better about paying taxes, wouldn't you? This is extremely unfortunate, and a lot of people aren't going to talk about it, and it's very sad.